We've got an old school bourbon hunt in Wilmington, Delaware, but I don't have a guide, so it's just gonna be us roaming around to some liquor stores. So Stag, $2.19 up on the top, cash only. What's your favorite right now?
Are you a YouTuber?
Yes. What kind of budget are we looking for?
40 maybe?
40 bucks.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good challenge right here. I like this. This afternoon, we've got an old school bourbon hunt in Wilmington, Delaware. Weather's great here. Traffic sucks a little bit, but I don't have a guide. So it's just gonna be us roaming around to some liquor stores. Now we did get a few recommendations, at least 4 here in this state. And we're gonna try to go to each and every one of them, see what comes from it. And we are going to start at Paper Mill Liquors. Ooh, that's a good sign right out of the gate right there. A Stag. Some stuff on the, oh, man. Dogfish head stuff, never seen that before. A Prohibition-inspired cocktail. So not a bourbon, straight whiskey, but not bourbon. Ooh, a bunch of malted barley. Looks like some finished stuff down there from them as well. Knob 18, sitting right there. $45 Buffalo Trace. On the bottles you've got in the case over there, is that the price is the price? Do y'all negotiate, or that's the band that would negotiate? What is this? It's a Booker's, Knob Creek, Booker's, Baker's, Basil Hayden barrels. All right, he didn't seem to really want to talk. That's kind of a dud store. That's the problem sometimes when we don't have a guide. Nobody to talk to, and if they don't want to talk, ain't a whole lot of talking going on. It's a good sign right out the gate, $89 for an Old Forester single barrel proof store pick. I'd take that. I see them usually 99 to 110, so I think 89 is right at MSRP on that. So I thought we were going to be in good shape. Then I saw the allocation case and all the prices, but then you see some things that are kind of hard to get other places scattered throughout the store, Knob Creek 18 and stuff, that are not really super high marked up, but then pretty much everything desirable, everything Buffalo Trace for sure is going to be marked up on this one. I tried to talk to the owner just to see if he could negotiate, but he seemed like a busy guy that had an agenda going on. So didn't want to take too much of his time, because honestly, I probably wasn't going to be a buyer even if we could negotiate the prices down. There were a few things like we might could come to terms on, but I'd have to get a pretty good deal based on those prices in there. And I don't think that's gonna happen. So let's head on to the next store. Hey B-Team, are you ready to look fresh for family get-togethers this holiday season? Do you want your friends and family to know you have a selection, not a collection? You know Uncle Ted watches the channel as well. Instead of listening to all those rehash stories from high school, you can actually talk about bourbon. If you wanna rep the Brewzle community, then listen up. We're gonna change how we're doing merch just a little bit. The Brewzle team is dropping a massive amount of all new merch to keep our Brewzle community looking their absolute best. We're releasing 5 new t-shirt designs, hats, leather coasters, koozies, and a members only kit from Aged in Ore. Now, whether you're looking for some new gear promoting your love of bourbon or a gift for a bourbon lover in your life, then be ready when we launch on October 19th. Be sure to grab some new Brewzle gear on launch day, because every one of these is in limited supply. All right, 30 minutes across town. We're now standing in front of the Wine and Spirit Company of Greenville. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you buy that Old Forester single barrel proof at that price? And it's because I have a bunch of them. I've given 2 or 3 of those things away. I think I still got 1 or 2 unopened, and I've got 2 or 3 opened on the bar already. At some point, you gotta admit you've got a problem and just quit buying them. So we didn't pick that one up, although still a pretty good price. You know, you got to determine what type of stores you actually want to support long term as well. And we bought some bottles at secondary. We've bought some bottles from stores that have secondary prices. But I do find it a little different, and it's just a feeling. But I find it a little different when you're in a high-end area with high-end clientele, with folks that have got a bunch of money, and you're just catering to that market, right? People that want to spend money don't want to put the time in trying to find bottles, versus a store, you know, in a more blue-collar neighborhood. Just feels like you're trying to squeeze dollars out of folks that, that need that money for other things these days. So that's not a real well thought out argument or thought, just a gut feeling. But y'all let me know down in the description. Is secondary, or does it matter where the store's at and what type of clientele it's catering to? It didn't look great Googling around, looking at stores, and I almost just didn't even do this hunt. So I'm glad we got a few recommendations, but I hope it picks up from there. Or this might be a really, really cheap, might be great for the budget, because we have gone through it the last few hunts. Let's check out the Wine and Spirit Company though, see what it's all about. More of that everywhere I go. Some Fortuna stuff there. See that occasionally, but not all over the place. Eagle Rare sitting here, 70 bucks. A bit more than I would want to do for that. Some Pursuit United things up there. Some Stag, $219 up on the top. Cash only. Okay. 109 for Blanton's, 500 for a Willet. Green, it's got to be a aged rye, the green top right there. $100 on a single barrel proof. Woodford Masters Distillers. Those barrels are coming way down. So if you like those, start grabbing them. There's rumors they might not be making them for very much longer, but the prices is coming down to about half that. One of the other problems we have here is I feel like we've bought all the local stuff, like, Maryland, DC, like we've bought a ton of local bottles. And so I'm not sure we're gonna find a whole lot. We're get up to Philadelphia, we might, like, here's a Philadelphia. I don't know what that's all about, but crafted by, I don't know if it says distilled. I can't read it, it's so small. Does it say distilled in Iowa? Well, that's unexpected. Woodford Double Oak Barrel Pick. Assume that's a knob pick. Looks like they got quite a few store picks. You see all these. What's the difference? Like price difference, substantial. Is this a lower proof? Yeah. Assuming that's the barrel proof. Yep. I don't know what some of these things are. See all the fancy scotches. That again, I don't know. How's it going?
Good.
Oh, not too bad. Just doing a little bourbon hunting. We got a little YouTube channel where we just drive around hunting for bourbon.
Cool.
So is this a good town for bourbon?
We do lots of single barrels.
Okay.
Delaware as a whole, if you're looking for super allocated stuff, you're not going to probably find too much of it.
Anything made in Delaware that's really good?
I don't have anything. There's a place in Lower Delaware called Painted Stave that distills rye and whiskey. Dogfish did at times, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, I saw some of their stuff at the last store, and it didn't look great.
There may be I forget. Painted Stave's the one that I know of. And
Okay.
I've had some of their stuff. It's been a while since I've had it. Their rye's okay.
Almost all the stores around here with allocated stuff just going to put it on secondary price.
Pretty much.
I understand.
Yeah.
Especially if there's not much of it, right?
Yeah. Delaware's a small market in the big scheme of things.
Okay.
So like we just don't see a lot. It's all allocated. Even Buffalo Trace is allocated. Everything. You know what I mean? So we're lucky, and we're considered like a good bourbon store because of all the single barrels we do. And we own a second store, but even on allocation day, we have 6 bottles of Buffalo Trace, 2 Eagle Rare.
I guess all of it. I mean, what's the population of Delaware? It can't be too much, right?
Sorry.
I think that's
100,000.
yeah. That's how they. It's a small city, the whole state. Yeah. How many barrel picks do y'all do?
Right now, probably have a dozen.
Okay.
Everything on these barrel tops, everything with the little goofy sticker, that we do a theme on is up there.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Nashville Barrel Company. Dude, their tater sticker game's top notch. They're actually really good at their tater stickers. Penelope Toasted. That's Penelope Toasted store pick. And this is a little more affluent area than the last store. Obviously a wine shop, so they go through a lot of wine, but not a ton of allocations in the state at all. So we're definitely going to have problems finding anybody that's selling them at MSRP and actually has any of them. There's not really any super local stuff to look for. I don't know what we're doing. This might be the worst place to bourbon hunt I've ever been for me. Like, what's worse? Outside of just places that won't let us film, it's shaping up to be pretty bad, but let's hit the next door and see what we find. Because at this point in the bourbon hunt that I realize there may be a reason we don't have a guide. Like, nobody wants to come bourbon hunting here. I don't know, disappointed so far. I'm trying to get all 50 states. Didn't realize I'd run into one, and I get it, like I understand. So bourbon, for those that don't know, is typically allocated by population. So like Buffalo Trace is gonna look at the population of a state, and whatever percentage of the population of the US is, that's what percentage of the allocated products they're gonna get. And then the distributor will then distribute those based on sales of other products. So if you sell a lot of Fireball, you're going to get a lot of Blanton's kind of thing. But if the distributor doesn't get them, then the stores don't get them. And that may not be exactly the case for every distillery, but that's what I've been told. That's my understanding of how the system works. With Delaware being a fairly small state, I mean, less than 1 million folks in the entire state, they're not going to get a lot of allocated products in general, and then that's going to be distributed out to multiple states. And I don't know much about Delaware. I don't know if this is the city that sells the most alcohol or has the most population, or, you know, maybe it's over in Dover or something like that. I haven't done a lot of research on the population of Delaware. Not a good sign for us finding bourbon. Now, don't pay any attention to the stuff in the, it looks like I'm living in the truck, and I have literally been living in the truck. I mean, I've been on the road for 2 weeks. I got a week to go now before I get back to the house. But we went to Watch Hill proper on this trip, so that gives you an idea how long ago this has been filmed. If it looks like I'm living in my truck, it's because I am. And then, you know, there's toilet paper and things, like some of the stuff Jill took. I don't know why she brought some of these groceries, but she brought them to the Airbnb while we were at Watch Hill proper, and now I've got them in the truck. Next door, Swigg, real wine, craft beer, and spirits. It's gonna be a small selection back here. What is this? Rum. A little bit of scotch here. Got some old granddads down here. There's actually a little dust on them. I've seen this a couple times. Y'all tell me about it. Should I have bought that Mr. and Myths? Don't know a whole lot about it. Well, they just write the price on the bottle, though. That's pretty fun. This Amroot. I know a lot of folks love that one. 165. Frank August small batch. I've seen these. I've never really checked into them too much. Small batch Kentucky straight bourbon, bottled by Frank August, Bardstown, Kentucky. Distilled and aged in Kentucky. Willow pot stills are for whiskey, as they deserve to be. And barrel seagrass, those are coming down in price. I'd wait on those. Master's Keep. I didn't really love this bottle. I have this bottle. Wasn't a fan of it. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't a $300 bottle. Is that the stuff we had from the bar? Was it Jack Rose? I think it might be. I think that is the Jack Rose label. 4 grain and double wheat Old Elks right there. I need to learn about scotch, because I guarantee you I pass on some really desirable stuff at some point or another that somebody wants, and I have no idea what they are. I gotta get educated. It's hard to keep up with all the freaking bourbon. It's a cool shop though, like it's really, you know, more wine with a little bit of whiskey here, but cool vibe. He comes in, really tailors, talks to everybody. It's a cool spot. Yeah, I was just doing a little bourbon hunting. So we've got a YouTube channel where we just drive around and bourbon hunt.
Oh, okay.
So this is an awesome shop though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, leaning more wine than whiskey, but a really cool spot.
He gets what he can. Yeah, it's so many things are allocated. But
Yeah. So the bourbon scene in Delaware is not real strong?
I would say it is.
It is strong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the guys that come in here are very devout.
I got you.
And our allocation, because we're a smaller market, we just don't get a lot on a regular basis.
So where would it all, is it like Dover, or is there a different city that's like gets more of the allocations?
I think it just depends on what which shop you're at.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been to Greenville Wine and Spirits. Billy Galbraith that owns.
Yeah, I think that's where we were before. Yes.
Okay, so he does a lot more in the bourbon realm than we do.
Yeah, a lot of barrel picks.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. But just because we're a smaller shop, we just don't get as much as some of the big boys.
I understand. It's a nice selection you've got back there, though.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Dave, the owner, he's the one that curates all that. He's not actually here at the moment. What's your name?
TJ.
TJ, I'm John.
Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you. This
Yeah.
is Frank.
How are you, TJ?
Good.
Where are you from?
Alabama.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to Philadelphia. So I was in, I'd say this trip, Austin, Texas to Louisville to South Carolina.
It's a different situation in restaurants.
Okay.
Although John said Delaware is a smaller state,
Yeah.
so it gets less allocated items. Then again, for distributors, how they prioritize, obviously the more business you do with them, the more you get.
Yeah.
For highly allocated items, most goes to higher profile restaurants.
Okay. So the restaurants get it all first.
Yeah, because that way, 20 people get a shot of it,
Right.
get to spread the news. Whereas you put it in a liquor store, you may have someone, if the owner will allow them, you have one guy hogging the 3 bottles that just came in. So,
Any really good bourbon bars in town then?
believe it or not, was the hamburger place on 6th in the Market, or?
The Farmer and the Cow?
Yeah.
Dorcia down on Baynard on Washington Street, they always have a pretty good selection.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Hang on a second.
all right.
Well, this is the owner, Dave.
Yeah, just hit the
He's a,
speakerphone for me.
he's a very nice guy, yeah.
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
Good, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing all right. We were just passing through. We've got a YouTube channel where we just stop in different cities and different states and kind of document the bourbon scene. First time in Delaware, so we were just kind of going store to store and trying to learn more about what bourbon looks like here.
Sure. Delaware's a strange state. It's the smaller, it's one of the smallest states in the union, and certainly for distribution, we don't see a lot of stuff. You certainly, where you are from, you certainly see a lot more bourbon than we do here in Delaware. So allocations are really small. You are unlikely to see anything from Buffalo Trace or any of the more highly allocated stuff.
Yeah.
You just won't rarely see. And just because the nature of things is just so small around here, so.
I understand. I mean, we've seen it in every store we've been in just about, but they like it. They like it. They really,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how many stores have you hit up so far?
You're the 3rd store here.
Okay, sure. Usually, bourbon's, obviously it's highly popular in this area quite a bit. So.
Any really good bourbon bars here that you're aware of?
Yeah, you want to go down to, there's not many, but the one that the whiskey bar that you really want to go down and see is the Farmer and the Cow.
Okay.
That's the one I mentioned.
Bar Reverie has a really good bourbon program. That's in Greenville, and you can stop by have you been to Greenville Wine and Spirits yet?
Yes, that was the store before this one. They do a ton of barrel picks. Yeah, it's a cool store.
Yeah. Bill's great. Bill's a buddy of mine. Bill does he's got fantastic barrel picks. They're like the barrel pick store around here. Whereas our store is certainly more wine focused, and we just do all craft stuff. So that's kind of like our shtick. I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else I would send you, but the Farmer and the Cow is the one that comes to first. They've got a fantastic whiskey selection.
Well, that's where I'm having dinner then.
Yeah, it's great. The food's really good. And a great, the guys down there are really knowledgeable, really take it seriously, and that's where I would definitely send you if I was looking for whiskey in general around here, without a doubt.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Cheers.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
TJ,
Yes, sir.
nice.
It's a pleasure.
But John knows more than I do, but
John, thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it. Honestly, though, like the wine guys have got it figured out. Like that's what a liquor store is supposed to look like, especially a high-end liquor store. Like obviously, if you're slinging Fireball and you got 1,000 people an hour rolling through your store, hard to have that level of service But those guys really go out of their way to make sure you're taken care of. You ask a question, they call the owner, they get an answer, they spend time with you, they'll walk you through bottles of wine. Like the service at wine shops, really cool folks here. I think, you know, the Swigg is definitely a shop I would support if I lived here in this area, just because they're so freaking nice and they go so far out of their way. We're gonna check this place out for dinner, but we got at least one more store we're gonna stop at, see if we can get lucky. Already said good things about the service, but after I cut the camera off, hopped in the truck, was setting my GPS for the next store, the guy we were talking to on the phone, the owner, actually ran up and knocked on my window here, and we had a conversation. I wished I'd have had on camera, but reiterated some of the things we've already figured out about liquor distribution here, made some suggestions about maybe a couple of other stores we might be able to check out, and we'll see about adding those to the list. But right now, we are at store number 4, and it is very much under construction behind me here, but this is Branmar Liquors. Anything good?
I don't know what I'm looking for. What are you looking for?
Something good.
What's good?
That's a good question. You into bourbon at all?
A little bit. I'm just getting into it.
What's your favorite right
Are
now?
you a YouTuber?
Yes.
I think I've seen you.
Okay. Well, let's talk about whiskey then, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what's your favorite right now?
I usually it's cheap, but I go with the Evan Williams, the white label.
That's pretty good though. For like, I don't know what it is here. Back home, it's like
$18.
$17 or
Yeah.
so. Okay, so you like Heaven Hill products then. What kind of budget are we looking for?
40 maybe?
$40.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good challenge right here. I like this. I like this. Evan Williams is going to be classic bourbon, right? Just kind of that quintessential Kentucky bourbon. So we probably want to stay away from anything too craft.
Okay.
So we've got mixer stuff that would be really good, but
Okay.
that's a little pricey.
That's okay.
A little pricey. If you haven't had Elijah Craig, so you're having 100 proof with that bonded. So we're going to try to keep the proof kind of low, because if you're just getting into it, might be a little much.
Yeah.
But this is also a Heaven Hill product here.
Okay.
With this Elijah Craig. So
Cool.
$30 for that bottle.
That's great.
The Larceny over there for 26 is also a Heaven Hill product, but that's a weeded bourbon.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little more caramel forward.
Okay.
Than what you're used to with that Elijah Craig.
That sounds cool though.
Russell's 10-year-old. How do you feel about oak?
I love it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this 10 years old right here is going to be wild turkey.
Okay.
Have you had a wild turkey product
Yeah,
before?
I've had the
So
101
this is
and
going to
the
be
regular.
this is going to be turkey.
Okay.
But it's at 10 years old, so it's
Okay.
$50. I mean, pushing 50. It's going to be 50 with tax and stuff.
Okay. Well, I mean, no tax here in Delaware.
No sales tax
No.
at all. Say less.
Yeah, there's a Total Wine right down the street too, and they've got a ton of stuff too.
I'm gonna have to head over there.
Yeah.
I doubt they let me film that.
Have you had this one right here, this Redwood Empire? I just
I
saw the
really
label.
like the Redwood Empire stuff.
It's a cool label. That's
I'm more proof hound,
Okay.
so the dark labels over there.
Gotcha.
But Redwood Empire's out of California.
Okay.
I really like those. I think
Okay.
those are really nice bottles of whiskey. So
Okay.
if you're going to try something that's not Kentucky bourbon, I was going to try to circle back around to that, but
Okay.
I wanted to make sure there wasn't. So non-Kentucky bourbon, that's probably going to be your best bet that I've seen so far.
Okay, I might give that one a go.
Yeah, really cool bottles, and good whiskey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give one of those a try. Then.
Okay, there you
Thanks,
go.
man.
So you've got this is an American whiskey.
Okay.
I'd probably go with this Pipe Dream right
Okay.
here, the bourbon.
I'll try that.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, man. It's
Yeah,
good to
what's
meet
your
you.
name again?
Devin.
Devin. Nice to meet you, Devin.
Have a good one.
Yes,
Good luck.
sir. All right, so on what y'all saw on the shelf. How do you think we did there? 40 bucks. I think Devin was ready to get one and get on out of Dodge, though. We were dragging it out too long. But big selection, big store. But seeing what y'all see here, how do you think we did for old Devin there? I do like those Fable and Follies right there. Optimus. Not sure what that is. As far as bourbon goes, I saw the selection over there, and then the case. Anything else, anywhere else in the store? Okay. Anything made semi-locally here that's really good, bourbon-wise?
Well, technically, it's got to be made in Bourbon County, Kentucky, and contain 51% corn liquor to actually be a real bourbon. Technically,
Not technically. So that's a huge store. First big store we found, but I'm still amazed at how many people think it has to be made in Kentucky to be bourbon. He went even more specific. He said Bourbon County, Kentucky to be called bourbon, which is not true at all. But a lot of people do believe that it has to come from that state. Technically, it has to come from the U.S. It has to be distilled from cereal grains, of which 51% has to be corn, and it has to be aged in a new charred oak container. It doesn't have to be a barrel, it just has to be a new charred oak container. There might be some other small requirements around it, but you can make bourbon in Alabama because we're going to do so. We still got to go check out this burger and bourbon bar, so let's do that. Well, scratch that. We are not going to that bourbon bar. I went down there. It's in an older area of downtown, and I mean, it is a Friday night, but they had some like orange barrels set up blocking some of the lanes, and I couldn't find parking. There were a good bit of people down there. And I went to some of the like side streets and stuff, and there are folks just having a party, enjoying a 6-pack in front of houses there on the sidewalk. And I got a lot of stuff in the truck and in the back of the truck, and just didn't feel real comfortable parking right around there. We are just going to have to nope on out of that, unfortunately. It sounded fun, but it might have just been Friday night. Like, I don't know if they had an event going on, if something was happening down there, or if it's just what that looks like on a Friday night. So didn't work out for us this time. Maybe next time we're here, we'll give it a try. So I'm staying at the Fairfield. I'm just gonna go ahead and crash, get up in the morning, head on into New Jersey. We do need a hotel sponsor. That'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if we've got enough clout for that yet, but maybe someday. The thought of the day, my thought this morning was about toll roads. That was what I was thinking about this morning. Like, man, they charge you to license a car so that they can build roads, and then they charge you to use the roads around here. And y'all love your toll roads up this way. I'm gonna have all sorts of tolls in the mail, or just outright fines, because I don't know how these toll roads work sometimes. But later in the day, it's about service. Like, you know, that one spot we went to that had great service, and I just lightened my mood. Like, it's been a long road trip. Was kind of down because we didn't have a guide, and the first 2 stores just weren't anything spectacular. I mean, they had some bottles, but they were all secondary price. Just going in there and having that level of service elevates everybody's mood. And so that's definitely a store that I would frequent. That's a store that I would spend a lot of money with if I lived around here. Even though the selection's not huge, I'm sure that type of service, they could probably order in most non-allocated things that you want. So shout out to them for having that level, like just noticeable level of service. And as we start doing things like a tasting room and different stuff around our brand, I just hope to strive to have that level of service with everybody working there as well. So, if you're in a service business, take note, because going the extra mile, taking that extra step makes a huge difference, because not many people are willing to do that these days. So I appreciate y'all watching all the way to the end. Probably not the greatest bourbon hunt we've ever done, but sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. We'll see y'all in the next one. Hopefully that one will work out.